everyone, it's Kristie with AG Takes Over. I'm glad that you're here to talk some doll stuff, right? That's what we do. Whether you're here for the first time or you're a regular watcher, I hope that you'll enjoy this video. We're going to talk about which are the most valuable dolls in my collection, but I felt like that first warranted a little definition of what does valuable mean. So I asked my wife recently, when you think of rare, like a rare doll, do you think of it's going to be hard to find or it's going to be really expensive? And she pointed out what most of us are thinking, like usually those two go hand in hand, but not always. So the way I did my research was we have a spreadsheet of all of our dolls, and approximately when we got them, their name, their number, or what line they're from, what we paid for them, hair color, eye color, face mold, a couple other things. And I just kind of scanned that whole list, and we have a little 100-ish dolls. And I just went through and thought the ones that I hear people get really hyped over that aren't like currently available from the store, those would maybe qualify. And then I wrote a list of those, and I started looking up sold prices on eBay over 2 months. So for the past 2 months of whenever I'm filming this, for the past 2 months, what were the average sold prices, and what how many listings were there? So that's telling me like what is the going financial value, but also how hard is it to find this doll. And I was surprised at some of them. So I, like many of us, go rare equals it's going to be hard to find and therefore it's going to be more expensive. But that's not always the case. Some of them are going to be pretty expensive even though they're easy to get your hands on. And others are going to be pretty cheap even though they're hard to get your hands on. So there were some surprises in this for me, which is why I decided it was worth turning it from just like a fun mental exercise into a video that others might enjoy. I ultimately decided to go with financial value. You just have to pick some way to do it, right? I could say like who's the hardest to find, who's the most valuable to me, but I've turned it into like who's the most expensive if I were to resell them, or if I lost this collection and had to start over, like who's the most expensive. But I'm going to tell you a few of them first that didn't make the top 10 that were on my list as like, I thought these were in that rare will equal possibly, higher price, but they didn't. Oh, and by the way, I also had wanted to do like a dressing my dolls all in navy blue and whites, kind of a nautical theme, because it's a color scheme and a look that I like. And so I have several outfits that would work for that. But I decided instead of making that a separate video, I just dressed the top 10 most expensive dolls in that kind of look. So for the ones that didn't make the list, I'm just going to put a picture up here. And then the ones that did, you'll get to see them all in new outfits that kind of follow a theme. So double the fun. It's like addressing my dolls or what my dolls are wearing in addition to this other theme. All right, so first who didn't make the list, of the ones that I made the list of, she came in at the cheapest. So if you're looking for this doll, that's good news. Number 40. So in our collection, her name is Violet, and she has only had 4 listings as of this morning, right? This will change, but as of this morning, over the past 2 months, she's only had 4 sold listings on eBay. And this is an imperfect research method, I know, because things get sold on Mercari and Poshmark and Facebook groups, and things get sold not labeled by the correct doll name, right? They might just say like Asian doll, and you go through and you go, ooh, that's a 40, and you buy it. So there may be more 40s sold, but I'm looking at, if you search for TM40, Truly Me 40, JLY 40, whatever, will you find, sold listings? So, only 4 in the past 2 months. So not the most common doll, but the average price was $71.25, which is well under retail. So I thought that was cheap. I was kind of surprised because I hear a lot of people say that's a holy grail doll for them, but if you can find her, she's probably going to be affordable. Next on that list was our number 30. I thought she might be one that's in that rare, therefore expensive category. And rare, I think so. Only 3 sold listings in the past 2 months. But her price was $77.66 on average. So super affordable. Just got to keep an eye out and find her. It shouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. Next, we have 2 of this same doll number, so 54s. We have Maddie and Kimmy. And there have only been 2 listings of them in the past 2 months by number, but the average price was $92.50. So still well under retail. That's a great deal on a doll that is demonstrably rare and really cute. Next on that list was, let me just move this, 62. I love 62. She is beautiful. I think she definitely went through an it girl moment, and I don't know if that's past for her or if she's still like really on a lot of people's wish list. She should be. She's gorgeous. But I only found 1 sold listing in the past couple of months. So she's a hard one to get your hands on. But she was $95. When there's only 1 listing, it's hard to get a better average price. I could have gone back, but I was trying to keep it the same amount of time for every single doll. And it just so happens that she's only been sold once, labeled as such, on eBay in the past couple months. So maybe her average price in the long run is higher, but I don't know. If you're looking for a 62, you're probably going to be like having to keep an eye out for her, but hopefully she will be reasonably priced. Next was Nellie. I think she's one that everybody always says, Nellie's always expensive. She's really hard to get your hands on. She's not really hard to get your hands on. 30 sold listings compared to Lena 1, right? 30 sold listings in the past 2 months, and $128 was her average price. That's not, I don't consider that particularly expensive. Slightly above retail for a long since retired doll seems pretty average. The bigger thing to consider is, are you going to have to, make sure they still have doll heads for Nellie, and are you going to have to replace her head and her limbs because they're radioactive orange? And that's no longer a free fix for anybody wondering, by the way. It is a defect. They will deny that it's a defect now. Kanani, not hard to find. 58 of all of the dolls that I looked up, she had the most sold listings because she was a popular girl in her year. So 58 of them. The average price was $128.24, so this much more expensive than Nellie. Nellie's hair is probably going to be in decent shape. Much smaller chance that Kanani's will be in great shape. And if she's been sent to the hospital and has a new head and gorgeous hair, they are going to charge more. If you have the money to spend on a new doll, it's not going to set you back that much more to find a decent Kanani. Next was Ivy. I found her to be not as hard to get your hands on as some people make her out to be. But definitely we start getting up into this is above retail for sure. So there have been 40 sold listings in the past 2 months. And her average price was $153.25. You could definitely find ones that are cheaper. It's probably going to depend. Do you want the box? Do you want her meat outfit? Do you want her accessories? Her hair should probably be in decent shape or able to be restored. So that's not usually a thing. I think I don't think she's the rarity that some people make her out to be. We've had 3 of them, so I think she's easy enough to find. Last one that didn't make my list that I thought maybe would be on here was number 86, who is in our collection, Gianna. And she is stunning. And I know that She goes for quite a bit new in box, but this was an average of all of the sold listings. All of the sold listings was only 6. So she's not just out there every day for everybody to find. You know, an average of 3 a month. It's not a lot. And her average price was $172.83. Well above retail. I think she has long enough hair, she was popular enough with kids, and she was run for a short enough time that you could have a hard time finding one that was played with or owned by, you know, not a collector, not just a display only, at a reasonable price. I think she's challenging, but she did not make the list. So let me grab who did. All right, at the bottom of the top 10 list in slot number 10 is Z Yang. So I'll take pictures because I know I said they're in their cute outfits and I want you to be able to see their whole, get the full effect, and I'm too close to the camera for you to see that. But Z Yang, she has had 8 sold listings in the past 2 months. So 4 a month. Her average sell price was $196.50. So given what she cost when she was out, she's getting closer to double retail. And which is, it's also hilarious because she's the only doll on the list that is definitely going to have perma panties. And as much as some of you are like, perma panties were the worst decision that American Girl has ever made, she's a popular girl. I know it's like people love her in spite of that, not because of that, but still, it hasn't hindered her value, is my point. Let me grab the next one. Okay, in slot number 9 is our Truly Me 38 Scout. She's so cute. She looks like she has a little bit of like a crooked smile, like a smirk. Or it's just this lighting. I don't know, because the dimple's showing up a little more over here for this. Anyway, I put different shoes on her because I liked them better with this. This is really hard to tell because, like Lena, she has 1 listing. It's much more common for the Truly Me's because they don't have names to be not labeled correctly, because people go redhead, you know, bangs, and they don't know what number it is. So she may be out there on eBay more, but if you're searching by her number, there's only 1 sold listing in the past 2 months. And it's hard for me to know exactly what she cost because their listing price was $200, but it was best offer accepted. So I decided to put her in slot number 9, but it could be that she was slightly more expensive or slightly less expensive than Z. I don't know. It's not a perfect system. I mentioned in the video where I unboxed her that I know 48 and 36 are like big time, especially 48 are like big time it girls right now, and people are paying astronomical prices to get these dolls. But she has held her value for sure. Like when we got her, I was curious and I did a much longer average of sold listings, and she was still like well above 150. So she is consistently above retail and sometimes significantly above retail, just depending. And I think she's adorable. So she well-deserved place. Next up is number 8, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised that she was in number 8 position in our collection. I thought that she was gonna be higher up. So this is Latia, my gorgeous, oh, looks like she has stuffing coming out of her or something, but it's just because her necklace got twisted around. There we go. My gorgeous number 11. She's so pretty. I definitely feel like 11 is a holy grail doll for a lot of us collectors. And there have been 9 sold as number 11 in the past 2 months. So she's not incredibly common, but not impossible to find. And her average price was $212.77. I paid more than that. but I got one that is in better condition than the average. So I wondered if part of that is because, you know, one or two whose hair is fried and the bangs are, you know, out to here and they have scratches and stains can bring the value down, because I maintain that the average price for a good condition number 11 is significantly higher than $212.77. Mine was listed at 255 and I offered 240 and they accepted. So that made her like $272 after taxes and shipping and whatnot. So she's not a cheap doll. But I mean, 212 isn't cheap anyway. I'm just saying, I don't know how accurate that one is. For same as Kanani. For a good condition Kanani, you're not going to be paying an average of $128. 128 is the average because it's throwing in the fried haired ones, right? So I think that's true with her as well. But anyway, there she is. She's beautiful. And next up, let me just reach over here. In spot number 7 is Miss Cecile. Look at the camera, Cecile. I'll do pictures at the end of all of their outfits, so don't worry. Cecile is a lot easier to come by. 26 listings in the past 2 months. Again, she has a name, so it's more likely that people will know her name and list her correctly. So that accounts for some of this. And her average price is $214.69. Because she is a doll with curly hair, she can be in very, you know, fried, not well cared for condition. For example, I think that there's less range of condition with Nelly dolls. Their hair is usually fine, like a kit doll, right? It's going to be more whether she's orange or not. But for Cecile, I think it really is going to depend on what condition her hair is in and how much of her meat does she have and whether you want that or not. Could it end up being cheaper for somebody to get her meat outfit separately? It could. It really could. So if I were looking for her and I wanted the meat outfit, I would be pricing both of those things separately to determine whether it makes more sense for me to hold out and try to get it all together or full outfit and doll. All right, number 6 is Maritza Ochoa. And she looks so lovely on camera right here. When I look at her, I see the orange undertones. So several of you know that I feel I'm a little particularly sensitive to the orange undertones in some of the dolls. So she's not my favorite. This is not meant to be a Maritza rant because I know she's beloved. Let me talk about how beloved. 19 listings in the past 2 months. This has picked up, I would imagine, based on, I had to go back and look, but I would imagine there's been a surge in the past few months since she became unavailable. I don't know if people were just sleeping on her or weren't aware of her before, and then they went, oh, she's retired, now I have to have her. But it definitely drove her prices up. You should have gotten in on it before, because now her average price is $235.94. Could have had her for $115, $235.94. Yes, she's pretty. Wow. It'll be interesting to see if she holds that value over time. I suspect that it will wane. But that's fair. I mean, for very few dolls does the price remain fairly stable or you know. Seems like Ivy has maintained a fairly high price the entire time. But even that, I don't know if it's stable. It's just she's maintained her value pretty well. Anyway, let me get the next one. All right, number 5 out of 100 of our dolls, the number 5 in most expensive is Gwen. I don't know if people are like, yep, that tracks, or if that's surprising. It's a little surprising to me, but also I know she is sought after. She is gorgeous. I don't know about all Gwen's, but ours is like super lashy. and has a very sweet face. And I know sometimes it's hard to know whether you got a Gwen or a 12, or if you're like looking at a listing, if it's a Gwen or a 12. We know ours was a Gwen because we bought her from the original owner in person, in her meat dress, in a tub with all the other dolls. And so we knew which ones were there. 5 listings over the past 2 months, and her average price is $238. So this girl has consistently kept her value, I think. At least in the years that I've been collecting, I think that her price has been pretty stable. So if you want her, I think you do have to keep your eyes out because she doesn't come up all that often, and she's not cheap when she does. So if you're looking for her, I hope that you luck out. We definitely did luck out on this one. So then I love it when this happens. Number 4 is number 4. Let me grab her. All right, so number 4 is number 4. Here she is. Ours is named Lily. And this is the 3rd number 4 we've had. She is, for us, we tend to keep getting her for the same price. All 3 times that we've gotten her, she's not been listed as a number 4. So she hasn't been listed on eBay or Mercari by somebody who knows what they have. So I'll just tell you, we have paid no more than $50 for each of our number 4s. The first one was a huge catfishing. The doll was in horrible condition, and it took me a long time to get her and to really rehab her, and I was able to sell her for a good price after a lot of work, so I felt completely comfortable with the price I asked for her. The second one came in pretty good condition. She just had very faded vinyl. We sent her to the doll hospital, and they had told us that they had heads. They turned around and sent the doll right back and said, just kidding, we didn't. Here's your doll. And she just looked too faded to me to really connect with her. So we sold her. And then we just happened upon her with the same seller that we got Gwen from. And all of these dolls that this seller had were in really good condition. By the way, they had a 6.1 there, so that was the first time I ever saw one with my own eyes. She had no idea what she had, but she was like, oh, that one I bought because she looks like my daughter, so I'm going to keep her. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. If she didn't have some sentimental attachment, that 6.1 would have been ours for $50 because that's how much she was selling all the dolls for. But it's totally okay. The coloring on this one is pretty good. She was obviously played with very gently, so we got a great deal. Let me tell you how often she comes out, or how often she is labeled as a number 4, and what you're going to pay for her on average. Past 2 months, she has been listed 14 times as a number 4, and sold. I'm sure she's been listed more than that. 14 sold listings on eBay over the past 2 months, listed as a number 4. And the average price is $274. And keep in mind, all these average prices are pre-tax and pre-shipping. So you would definitely be looking at over $300. And not all of them are in amazing condition. So I think know what your budget is. If you can learn some basic hair restoration, that is helpful because it will allow you to maybe get one that's needs a little TLC and keep it within your budget. But also try to find this doll not listed as a 4. I know that listing it as a 4 helps collectors find it, but that's also for people who know what she's worth. You're much more likely to get a bargain if you just wait and you keep your eyes peeled and you try different search terms and you look in different places, even on like Craigslist or, flea markets or whatever. You're much more likely to get a good deal if you can find somebody who doesn't really know that in this community she goes for a pretty penny. So let me grab the top 3. Okay, I considered whether I would, if one of the most expensive dolls was a doll we had double of, would I count it as 1 or would I count it as 2? I chose to count it as 2 because they are their own dolls, but the number 3/number 2 positions are occupied by our 45s. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. Okay. In terms of rarity, they are the most rare because the combination of their price and how often you find them. Again, labeled as 45s, right? But if you are looking specifically for a JLY or a Truly Me or however you enter it in, I tried different search terms, but always included 45. There's only been one over the past 2 months in the sold listings. And I think there's only one listed right now, and she doesn't look in amazing condition. She's just in some like off-brand nightgown, and she's super expensive. So let me show you their outfits. You'll get to see pictures of those. We cannot even tell them apart. So I can if I look at their bums, because Lyric is a visual from the St. Louis store. So she has visual written on her bottom. And Journey is one that somebody was selling, and I love her backstory. I'm going to keep it short for those of you who've already heard it, but somebody was selling her. They wanted cash only, porch pickup, and they were several states away. And I was like, can you hold her while I try to see if I know somebody in that area who could get her? And she was like, until 11 tomorrow morning. And it was like 10 p.m. I don't know what she had going on at 11, but she was like, until 11 tomorrow morning. And so I did not have much time, and I just put out feelers. And the long story short is somebody I'd never met in my life knew somebody that I do know, and the person that I know said, hey, you're going to be in that area. Can you pick up this doll? And she was like, yeah, sure. And she brought her all the way to Ohio because she happened to be coming to Ohio for something else. And so we got her for like ridiculously cheap and didn't even pay shipping. And she needed a little TLC on like one of her eyes and her face, but just, they're gorgeous, gorgeous dolls. And the lighting is different they look a little different because whichever one is closer to this light source. But yeah. So 45s, I do not mind having 2 of them. We're in good company. Anyway, average price, and this is average over one, was the last one that sold was $415. Oh, $415. That's a lot of money. I did not pay that much for ours, for either one of them. Like, we got really good deals. But again, the 2 that we got were not listed as 45. So if you really want these dolls and you don't want to break the bank, hold out and keep your eyes peeled for people who list them not knowing what they have. But if somebody knows what they have, they're going to be asking a pretty penny, because $415 was the last listing. But if you look back further, it's not far off. Like, it is pretty indicative. She regularly goes for a lot of money. But she wasn't the most expensive. There were 3 sold listings for dolls by this number over the past couple of months, and she sells on average for $425. It is our number 50 in our collection. Her name is Delphine. So she is wearing this lovely outfit. And again, she's one that I found locally on Marketplace for a fantastic price, and she just needed some TLC. Person didn't know that she goes for a lot, and I drove like an hour and a half to get her. So locally. But yeah, she goes for an average of $425. So expand your search terms. And just know that if you have any of these dolls, putting that number in there is going to allow you to ask for a better price. But if you have this doll, don't sell her. Just keep her. Just keep her because she's beautiful. I am personally more attached to our 45s than I am her. I think she is lovely, but An older doll with the regular bangs, not the pie bangs, is not very common. So I just like the stories behind both of our 45s a lot. So yeah, I like them slightly more, but I really like Delphine. Anyway, I did not include any of the limited edition dolls. That was just a choice I made. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. Are any of these dolls on your list? It's not like I care like who's the most expensive doll in your collection or worth the most money if you resell them. It's really just I sometimes this is how my mind works, and I go, I wonder, and then I do a little research and I go, maybe that's something other people would enjoy seeing too, and it becomes a video. So that's all. We're not contemplating selling any of them. It doesn't make them worth more or less, in my opinion. It's not indicative of how much I paid for them, any of those things. I just thought it was an interesting topic. So let me know what you think in the comments. Take care. Oh, I am curious if any of you have gotten these dolls, the numbered ones, by other search methods and not like if you got a steal on them because somebody didn't know what number they were and therefore didn't know their value in our community. Let me know that, because I'm always happy to see those. All right, take care. I will see you for my next video. I will put on the left hand side a playlist for you, and just a single video if you don't feel like binge watching but just want to see one more, then I'll put that on the right hand side for you. I'll be back within a week. Subscribe if you haven't, comment down below, give it a thumbs up. Take care of yourselves.